Hello. So, continuing with some reflections on the gender and sexuality survey, which has really got me actually coming back to look at some fairly fundamental questions and really trying to dig deep on some of these questions to find out something about myself, perhaps reflecting back on my own experiences. And hopefully, there may be something here that resonates for you. What I'm saying, as always, is just purely my own experience, and by its nature, is going to vary. Your responses may well be very different to my own. But today I'm picking up on a couple of questions, the first of which is number 5 in the survey. What physical feature or features do you sense you might want to change? To help consider this, you may like to imagine scanning each part of the body in turn, starting at the crown and working down to the feet. That's a very popular and common meditation approach you may have tried before. The questions here are, as you do that, what feels right and what doesn't, as you give a focus to each part of the body. Now, for me, I think that there are especially two parts that I would hone in on when going through that process, the body scan process. One is my agility, my ability to flex my legs, and a desire to have a little less fattiness in the upper thighs, this ability to stretch wide. So that would very much fit in with what I see many women are able to do in a way that many men aren't. It may just partly be down to my own lack of flexibility, despite having tried various stretches and exercises over the years to expand in this area, and also a desire for um, having longer legs, the legs that go on and up for miles, as a well-known song put it. I think a reflection for me, a throwback to my jealousy of girls playing on climbing frames that I've spoken about in other blogs before. That very early recognition around age 5 or 6 of this skill that they had, but also the physical appearance of the legs that I felt at the time jealous of and wanting to embody. The other very obvious area that I would like to change is the facial structure. And indeed, this is an area where I have previously got to the point of trying to arrange, didn't actually get arranged, an appointment with a surgeon to discuss possible surgery in this area. Probably quite limited surgery at the time I would have been ready for, mainly to shave down, I guess, some of the broader areas in the face, the more angular areas, possibly shave down the Adam's apple a little bit, and to create hopefully a little bit more delicacy in the cheekbones and the chin and so on. Especially, I don't tend to have too much of a double chin these days, but sometimes that can appear if I'm not looking after my weight and so on. A little bit of fattiness in that area that could do with removing. So yes, and possibly with that, the nose and so on. Here, very much a desire to emulate feminine facial beauty. The face, as we know, is something that we spend in a face-to-face communication with others, quite literally, most time looking at. And it's where I see, I guess, what draws me most to an individual is the facial expression. It says a lot about what they want to project onto the world. So is that, in my case, something like an idea of not being aggressive and so on? I don't know. An idea of being genteel, of being not pretty, that's not quite a word I would use, but being feminine. Yes, at times, certainly that is. So slimmer nose, quite a lot of work in my case, I think, to improve the facial symmetry. And indeed, when I dress, using face chin straps and so on to help mold the face a little bit, plays an important part, quite apart from the contouring of makeup and so on. There have been times in the past when I've carried more weight than I do currently, and certainly I was conscious of that at the time, in terms of my ability to pass on femme. So maintaining a reasonable weight is certainly another aspect I would want to change, and at times perhaps having less bulk in the upper shoulders, the upper arms, the shoulder area. Again, that's to do with femininity, and there are certain exercises that can help there. I learned one or two when I met the wonderful Monica Prata, who's a consultant in this area. I've blogged about her work previously. In terms of breast area, I don't think that I have gynecomastia, which is a condition quite common, very common, in fact, in males at certain times of their lives. It varies for most people, when there is more breast tissue than certainly the average for a male. It can come to a point of being quite distressing for some males who do not envisage themselves in having a feminine body. I've no idea if I have that or not. I sense that I don't. I don't have a lot of breast hair in that area. There are parts of my body which are fairly soft, parts of my body which are hairy, others which aren't, and those which aren't feel good and right. So my lower arms and my hands, for example, tend to be perhaps smaller on average than someone of my height and stature. And I feel very comfortable with those. So a lot of this has to do, I think, with a sense of, can I pass as a female, perhaps with the aid of makeup and so on. But are there things that I can do with my body and that I would like in my body that would enable me to pass very easily? Having said that, of course, being gender fluid, I like the idea of being able to swap back very quickly. I think the social pressure plays quite a part here. If it weren't the case that I would be perceived as being effeminate, not only in my stage in life now, but particularly earlier when I would have been much more conscious and fearful of that, had I had these more delicate features, if that could just be ignored, if that could just be forgotten, yes, I think in general I would want to have made some changes to be kind of almost like a more perfect male-female being and able to pass as either gender. But I don't have a very strong body consciousness or awareness generally, and in the main I'm fairly at peace, I think, with the body that I have. Now, another survey follows on to this one in the survey, now question number 6, which relates very closely, I think, is to what extent does your brain expect your body to be formed according to the sex you were assigned at birth? How frequently are you aware of this, if that is relevant? Now, this desire for a more feminine facial structure and thinner thighs does come up quite regularly, actually, for me. So when I really do think about this, is it just desire? Is it just this ability to be able to pass and swap seamlessly, as it were, between masculine and feminine poses? Or is there something the brain is actually saying, this would feel right, this is what the brain would want my body to exhibit? And I think quite possibly that is the case. There is something in the brain that says, yes, lose weight around the upper thighs, change the way you physically look. It's something quite subtle. It's something I've not quite got to the bottom of yet. But I think that potentially here it is suggesting that there is something in my subconscious sex which does point to this common urgency to appear female, and is not just about desire and certainly not just about gender expression. So this is going to be one of those questions that I have to leave open, I think. And having asked the question, having started to ponder it, to start to really reflect upon it, perhaps a fuller answer will come in time.